What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. I'm not a fan of Lego sets.
What did he say?
I know that's a weird thing to say for a guy with a ton of Lego behind him, but hear me out. With the exception of a few, I think most Lego sets are underwhelming, incomplete looking, and way too expensive. So today I'm giving 3 random Lego sets the old razzle-dazzle treatment and turning them into Lego Star Wars mocs. Obviously using Star Wars sets would be cheating and lame, so I made sure to pick 3 very different themes and builds to transform. And one of them is even Tallneck. So if you're ready to see 3 Lego sets get the glow-ups of their lives, don't forget to execute order 66 on that like button, and let's get building. I'm gonna tackle the tiny Tallneck bulldozer first. Whoa, say that 5 times fast. Unfortunately, I had a massive headache the day I was building this mock, so this whole sequence won't be my best, but here we go. There isn't anything remotely close to a bulldozer that I know of in the Star Wars universe besides this big boy, so I didn't even bother building the set. Instead, I'm going to build a pod racer. I do want to make this as practical looking as possible, so I built a cockpit, engines at the front and back, and of course a rotating cannon with tracking capability, since pod races are no picnic and you never know when you're going to run into this guy. The pod racer is going to be jetting across a dark blue crystalline planet surface, and while you're watching, drop me a dope name I can use for this blue salty planet down below in the comments. This turned out better than expected. Between the headache and overall lack of inspiration, my hopes weren't very high, but I like what I'm seeing. What this racer lacks in looks, it certainly makes up for in the speed department. With 4 engines and a sleek aerodynamic body, and armed with a rocket launcher and rotating blaster, I guess you could say,
now this is pod racing.
Next up is a Lego City crane set, the Mighty Crane. Apparently it's retired now, so I had to get one off of eBay, but it's a city set, so I got it for a good price. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure this is the first city themed set I've ever purchased because, well, why would anyone buy this? I'm totally kidding. City is an awesome theme, and a bunch of the first Lego sets I ever had were city. From excavators to mini dump trucks, I was building empires as a kid. I was really excited to get this set as well because I never got a crane as a kid, and those are one of my favorite building vehicles, so you are literally watching my dreams come true right now. It did come with some minifigs, but they're not Star Wars figs, so I did what needed to be done. Now that you've gotten way more coconut lore than you ever wanted, let's talk about my plans for this bad boy. I'm gonna build the whole thing, then modify it because I want to incorporate the crane into the mock somehow. I could have just taken the wheels off and slapped some repulsors on the bottom for a hover crane, but that felt really lazy. And I'm no Jabba the Hutt, so I'm turning this whole thing into a Star Wars dock crane and transport truck. My main inspiration for this was the scene from Mando Season 2 where the giant walking crane pulls a very battered Razor Crest out of the water and puts it back on the landing pad. I really love this whole episode. The gritty docks, people, and machines on the moon of Trask were really interesting and gave us a good look into the everyday life of people trying to make their way in the Star Wars galaxy. I also took some inspiration from my buddy Southern Creator. He did a really cool Star Wars dock mock that you should go check out on his YouTube channel. So in that spirit, I'm building a loading dock with a tower crane that loads, unloads boats and ships and gets the cargo onto big transport trucks to be taken off, most likely to help build old Palpatine's Death Star. I'm also adding a small wooden pier to one side to add that salty seaport vibes, and so smaller scale fishermen will have a place to work. The reddish brown wood log bricks worked perfectly for this, and I threw in some chains for some extra detail. Now I need to add the crane. I wanted to do some kind of stationary tower crane, kind of like these, but it can't move. I'm going to build a steel looking frame for it. Not going to lie, I'm really having fun doing everyday Star Wars builds. Let me know in the comments what non-Star Wars battle mocks you'd like to see me do next. I also added some yellow hazard strips so people don't get too close and hit by some machinery. Now for some boring stuff. I gotta add a road next to the dock so trucks and stuff can get close to the crane. I'm making the road dark bluish gray so it's easier to distinguish because this mock needs color like stormtroopers need glasses. I'm going to tile off the whole thing since I want to get this done quick, and I've got lots of the 6x6 tiles left over from the roof of my Senate building, which will work great for the dock portion of the mock. The front wall needs a little bit more detail, so in goes some chains, since what says you're near water like random chains, ropes, and nets piled around. I'm also adding some pylons, which I don't know what their purpose is, but hey, it looks more like a dock now. This is looking good, but it's time to make it really pop with some trans light blue water. Now I'm not going to make you watch me put down every single piece because it took me so long to do that, and this video would be like 10 hours.
It's been 84 years.
But here's my approach. I take a cylinder, place it down, take another, and put it next to the first one. Then I repeat this process, driving myself to the brink of insanity until the base plate is all covered. At last, the boring building is over, and I can add the fun stuff, like this partial skeleton of some great sea beasts and a net with casting line. I'm just packing this thing full of cool harbor and dock related Easter eggs, and you can't do that without lots of random crates and some illegal weapons, definitely not for Hondo and his boys. Now let's transform that crane. I'm going to remove the wheels since this isn't a turbo tank and pop off the top. The bottom is going to be turned into a flatbed hover truck. I like the blue and yellow colors of the crane and I want to keep them because it gives a very big corporate vibe. Like this is a specific company section of the docks and these are their machines. The crane portion doesn't need much modifying, we'll just sit atop the tower ready to lift stuff. This mock turned out so good. Not gonna lie, midway through the build I almost gave up and scrapped it because I just felt like it sucked. But I'm glad I had faith in the vision. I think the water is really what turned the build around for me. It's so vibrant and immediately helps you figure out what this build is. Same with the smaller details like the wooden pier, the chains and the pylons, and of course the dope tower crane. My favorite part has to be that crane. It's still fully functional and I can pick up, move, and deposit shipping containers onto the truck with it. My brother was even able to hook the container only using the crane, which now I need to do in order to defend my title of older brother. I also have the driver out watching the crate, but he must be new around here because he's standing way too close and is in danger of getting crushed. At least the water is all clear and calm and hopefully no one falls in and becomes a meme.
Man has fallen into the river in Lego City.
Last but certainly not least, we have one of my all-time favorite Lego sets, the Tallneck. I bought this one used on eBay so I could save some money. It didn't come with the minifig, but that's fine since all I needed are the parts. The Tallneck is part of the video game universe of the Horizon series, where of course humans messed up once again and now the planet is covered in fearsome robot animals equipped with the latest in high-tech weaponry. Nothing like coming up against an elephant with plasma cannons and shockwaves.
I'm in danger!
I would also love to build some mocs in this universe, and there are custom builds that I could get instructions for, but the models are way out of my price range and selling my kidney for Lego just isn't practical. Yet. If you take one thing away from this set, it's that it sure lives up to its name. This guy is so tall I had trouble properly showcasing the finished mock. And speaking of mocks, let's go ahead and start that. The original set sits on a black snot frame with headlight bricks on their sides so you can connect plate to it. I like this idea and wanted to transfer as many elements from the set to the mock as I could, but when I tried building the frame I realized the set doesn't really come with any black brick, and for some reason I have hardly any left. So I had to switch to dark bluish gray parts, which means even less parts used from the original set, but honestly who cares, the goal wasn't really even to use all the parts. I finally got the brackets in place and I staggered and curved them as best I could because I'm building a rock wall and I want it to be curved. Now I can put a layer of plate down and build the rest of the mock. Now you can see why those brackets are so important. Without them, it's a little hard to build. You might have guessed by now, but I'm busting out the dark tan slopes again. I want to build a cliff and have the Tallneck thundering across the top of it. I've been wanting to build a Star Wars mock with a Tallneck in it for years now, and since it's supposed to be a giraffe, which are native to the dry, beautiful grasslands of Africa, not a lot of greenery over there, but there is some, so I figured dark tan and olive green would be a great color combo to represent that type of landscape. But this is supposed to be a Star Wars mock, and I want to make this look as otherworldly as I can, so you can see there are headlight bricks and Technic bricks placed throughout the cliff, and those are going to come in handy in just a second. The Tallneck set had this little white tree at the back, which is going to work great for the build. I built some modified versions and even some smaller ones, which will be placed throughout the cliff. I figured you don't really see trees growing from the side of a cliff wall, and that unique color of the foliage and trunk will help the mock be more vibrant and make this slab of a rock more interesting. All that's left now is to plate and tile off the top. I was originally going to have another rock wall at the back of the mock, turning this into some kind of small trail or path, but I just didn't have the space for it. Now I can add the final pieces, and you can see what I was talking about earlier. This guy's just too tall.
He's right.
It wouldn't be a coconut challenge without some clones. I wanted some colorful looking ones that will stand out, and Doom and one of his buddies are the perfect fit. I'll have Doom trying not to get trampled while the other guy is attempting to ride the Tallneck, a real big brain move. This is the first mock I came up with when planning this video, and well, it didn't turn out how I first thought it was going to, but it still looks pretty good. I positioned the Tallneck to make it look like it's charging near the cliff's edge trying to trample Commander Doom, as the other guy, using a grappling line from his gun as reins, is trying desperately to hang on. I like to think that it was a day off and Doom and his boys decided to go out and try riding some of the local fauna on the planet they're stationed on. Full disclosure, this video mostly came about just because I wanted to buy some more Lego sets, but it ended up being a blast to make. Fun fact, excluding battle packs, the Tallneck is tied for the set I have the most copies of in my collection. You know, just casually building a Tallneck empire over here.
200,000 units are ready, with 1 million more well on the way.
Capturing the non-warring, everyday side of Star Wars is a lot of fun, and there's so much inspiration and reference material to work with. I thought the Tallneck mock was going to be my favorite, but the dock is hands down the best one I did. Not only is it the biggest and most interesting build, but the play function with the crane kept me entertained for way too long. Next up, I'm going to be building some Gungan villages, so get hyped for some more Jar Jar shenanigans. But that wraps up this video. Don't forget to let me know what you think about the mocks down below in the comments, and I'll catch you next time. But until then, happy building.